Today is February 13th, 2018. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Roy Phillips in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Sir, where were you born?
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And when's your birthday?
July 30th, 1944.
1944. Who is your father?
Douglas Phillips.
And your mother?
Caroline Phillips.
Caroline. What was her maiden name?
Bland.
Bland. You go through school in Tulsa?
Went to school at Jenks.
Jinx. You graduated what year?
1962.
1962. Who was your favorite teacher in school?
I'd have to say Mrs. Hanks.
Mrs. Hanks. Why was she your favorite?
She was a business and typing instructor and was really just a squared away lady that gave everyone good advice, and everything I learned from her I used after I left public school.
Mm-hmm. Did you play sports in high school?
Yes, I did.
What'd you play?
Football, basketball, and baseball. I lettered in 3 sports.
You had good teams?
Yes, we did. We came in second in the state in football, second in the state in baseball.
Good. Good. Mm-hmm. What'd you do for recreation in high school?
Basically played sports.
Played sports. Okay. What'd you do after high school?
Went to college.
College. Where'd you go?
I started out at Oklahoma State, went there for a year, transferred to the University of Tulsa. Went there 3 years, left for active duty military. Came back, got my bachelor's degree in 1970 and my master's in business in 1971.
Now, when did you enlist?
I didn't enlist. I was, first I was drafted, and then I went ahead and enlisted with the OCS options. That was in 1966.
And when did you enlist?
1966,
You recall the date?
August 8th.
August 8th.
It's the heaviest draft month in Vietnam War.
I enlisted August 17th, 66. Where'd you go for your basic training?
Basic training at Fort Leonard Wood.
Fort Leonard Wood. Tell me about basic.
At that time, it was, like I just mentioned, it was the heaviest draft month in the Vietnam War. It was a real chaotic period. A lot of people were being pulled into Fort Leonard Wood. There was not enough logistics available. They had tents for troops to live in. Part of them lived in regular barracks. The rest lived outside in tents. And basically, we went through normal 8-week, I think at that time, basic training cycle.
What type of training did you have in basic?
It was basic infantry training. At Fort Leonard Wood at that time, it was the Combat Engineering Center, and it was kind of oriented toward combat engineering, but really it was basically just rifle training, marching, basic military skills, just about like it is today, really.
Tell me about bivouac.
I don't remember that much about it, really. I don't think we were out in the field that much, maybe 3 or 4 days.
Okay.
Not nearly as much as we were in AIT later
Yeah.
at Fort Knox I went to.
What's your most vivid memory of basic?
My most vivid memory was people were screened for educational background and aptitude, and certain people were sent to what they call Leadership Academy. And they were made acting corporals and sergeants to help the drill sergeants because they were short at that time because there had been such a massive buildup. And that was probably the biggest part of it, that I was thrown into a leadership position, not expecting to be, and that required a lot of extra effort and time over what basic training normally does too.
And you said it lasted 8 weeks?
Yeah.
Okay. And from after basic, where did you go?
I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for Armor AIT.
Armor AIT. Did you request Armor?
No.
Tell me about your AIT and Armor.
It's very interesting. It's basic layout, all of the tank armament, main gun, caliber 50, 7.62 training, driver training, loader training, all the enlisted crew duties on a tank, and Les being a tank commander, and that was basically it. It was all that way, just training on that. The only bad thing about it at that time was they only had M48 tanks, and of course the common inventory tank at that time had already gone to M60, except in Vietnam. They had M48 tanks with diesel packs or engines in it.
What's a crew of the M48?
It was 4 people. You have your tank commander, your gunner, your driver, and your loader.
Okay. And what position did you have?
Actually, I never had one, and they cross-train you. They, being the Army, cross-trains all their new enlisted tank crewmen. But as soon as I graduated from AIT, I went directly to Officer Candidacy School, Armor OCS that was at Fort Knox.
At Fort Knox.
Right.
How did your AIT compare to basic?
Much more interesting for me. To me, basic training was basically bringing everyone up to physical standards, screening out the people that needed to be, and prepare them to go on to advanced training. When I got to AIT, I found the mechanized vehicles, the tanks, the personnel carriers, the scout vehicles, very interesting, and that piqued my interest a lot more.
So how did the OCS compare to your training?
Absolutely no comparison at all. It was 23 weeks pretty much difficulty. It was quite a time to be an officer candidate. Made no bones about it. I think our washout rate in our OC company was probably 60-70%. There wasn't, and we had some good people who just didn't make it because of physical limitations. They got injured or whatever, and they get recycled. And some people just didn't have the leadership ability, and they were told to find something else to do, or the Army gave them something else to do.
What's your most vivid memory of your OCS training?
My most vivid memory was practicing for a graduation. The rest of it's kind of a blur.
And you were commissioned when?
June of 1967.
June 1967. And were you commissioned in armor?
Yes.
Okay. So after you were commissioned, where'd you go?
Went to Germany.
Germany.
Direct to Germany. 3rd Armor Division.
Where in Germany?
North of Frankfurt, at near a town called Butzbach. It was 1st Brigade of the 3rd Armor Division. I was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 33rd Armor, the Tiger Battalion there.
What'd you do in Germany?
I started out as a tank platoon commander. I had 5 tanks and the crews for those, and that was my beginning responsibility. And that lasted for about 2 months. And my first lieutenant company commander got relieved for cause, and I was a company commander. 2 months out of OCS.
What tanks did you have in Germany?
We had M60s and M60A1s.
How did that compare to the M48?
Much better.
Much better.
The 48 or the M48s had we had 105 millimeter guns. We had better caliber 50s and everything. Larger engines. They were just better piece of equipment, obviously.
What was the reaction of the local people to you in Germany?
At that time, when I first got there, the relationship was very poor.
Why?
I think the German people, at least in that area, just didn't want, our feeling was that they didn't want us around. And there wasn't a good relationship. I didn't feel that there was. There was just animosity. And I'm not saying everyone was, a lot of the GIs ask for trouble because they go into villages and get drunk, or drink too much or be too boisterous or whatever, and weren't respectful to some of the German families, especially in the rural areas around East Town. However, we were in a sector called the Fulda Gap there north of Frankfurt, and our sector was from Fulda to Bad Hersfeld in that area, So we had the 14th Cav right up on the East German border. The correlation was positive. The closer we got to the East German border, the better the Germans thought of us. And this really bore out fruition later when the Soviets invaded Czechoslovakia. Then that changed the atmosphere there altogether, because we were doing our move-out alerts and everything when it really wasn't that unusual for German kids throwing rocks at us. After the Soviet invasion of Czechoslovakia, the whole environment changed, and people were a lot nicer then, and everyone got along a lot better too.
I didn't ask, how did you go to Germany? How'd you get there?
I got there on a Mack charter flight.
Okay, you flew to Germany?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. To my knowledge, there were no troop ships running, because those were all dedicated to the Pacific then with Vietnam. You know, as far as I know, everyone that went ETS going or coming or whatever to Germany flew at that time. They were old charter DC-8s, stretch 8s, what they call them.
Now, what was the border between East and West Germany? What type of border did they have?
Basically, it was concertina wire, different types of observation towers, obstacles, gates, passages. It was rough terrain, even though it was improved along the fence lines and everything.
Did they have East German troops or Russian troops?
East German where we were,
Okay.
or that's what we were told. And they, whenever the 14th Cav would go to their annual training, like for tank gunnery or tactics or whatever, we would have to take their positions. And it always appeared to me, you know, using binoculars or sight glasses or whatever, that they had German, East German uniforms on. I never personally observed any Soviet troops.
Okay. Did any East German troops defect while you were there?
Not in our sector that I'm aware of. There could have, I didn't hear of it, but I wasn't aware of it.
Okay. So the German people improved after Czechoslovakia.
The approval rate was much higher. I think
Yes.
that.
Did you get to Berlin?
No.
Okay.
I was, matter of fact, I was supposed to go there on 2 different occasions, and for whatever reason, that's obscured memory. I mean, on duty assignments, not for pleasure. or
Okay.
anything. No, I did not, to answer your question, go to Berlin.
Okay. Again, what's your most vivid memory of Germany?
Long, arduous periods out in the field, 30 days at a time, 35, 40 days, all of the move-out alerts. At that time, Vietnam was going on, and it got Vietnam Theater of Operation got all of the priority for repair parts. Personnel replacements, we were always short-handed, and we were always short on repair parts.
Now, what is the move-out alert?
What that is your different commands over there. At that period of time, our command headquarters was 3rd Armored Division in Frankfurt. And of course, they had brigades underneath them. So all of your commands going up through, I assume, the 7th Army, and down through V Corps, down to the division, would decide when you're going to have a alert. And what that was is you would call everyone in, and typically it was like 1 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, and the command structure, would run a test to see how long it would take to actually get people from their quarters or in their barracks or off post if they were military housing or whatever, to get in, get all of your troops' weapons drawn, get on your military vehicles, your assigned posts and everything, and get ready to move out. And the ultimate test is when we were told to move out. And then we'd have to move from our caserne, which ours was outside of Bootsbach, Kirchgans, north of Frankfurt, move up to the sector, which is in the Bad Hersfeld area.
Okay. Was the border where you were, was it heavily guarded?
I think so, yeah. You mean by our forces? Which?
Both sides.
Yes. Well, I mean, there were not main force units. We were back behind lines. We had the 3rd of the 14th Cav was in our sector right up on the border. And they had constant patrols, and observation posts and things like that.
Now,
So,
did you ever patrol the border?
yes, whenever the CAV unit in our sector went for annual training, we'd have to go up there and take their place.
And what do you do when you're on patrol on the border?
Basically, as a young officer, we were right up with the troops, like we'd have sector areas to patrol back and forth on, to sit and observe and everything. And your NCOs and your officers, of course, were monitoring all the time to make sure everything was done properly. That was basically it. Observe and detect and report.
Okay. So you were company commander 2 months after OCS.
That's right. And if that wasn't enough, we had a captain as our battalion S3, which of course was a major slot.
Yeah.
And he no more than got promoted to captain, and he got sent to Vietnam. So then I became the battalion operations officer as a first lieutenant, brand new first lieutenant.
What do you do as the S3?
That's your operations and training. You're the main man as far as programming all the training, all your operations in combat. You would assist the commander in formulating the battle plans and distributions of orders and coordinating with all the other staff officers and the executive officer for the battalion.
Now, did you work with the S2?
Yes, we were co-located with them
Okay.
in that battalion. They were our intelligence arm.
Okay, yes.
And the S2 people and us were hand in hand all the time.
Okay. And you were in Germany how long?
2 years.
2 years. And from Germany, where did you go?
I came back here to Tulsa, finished my bachelor's degree, got my MBA, and then went back on active duty.
Okay.
And from there I went to Vietnam.
Okay. You went to Vietnam when?
Would have been 1971.
You recall the month you went to Vietnam?
Yes, I do. It'd been August.
August. Now, when did you go to flight school?
Went to flight school when I got back from Vietnam in 1972.
Okay. Okay. So, tell me about Vietnam.
I went to Vietnam, flew over on a Mac charter flight, landed at Ton Son Nhut, in Saigon. My assignment, I had been handpicked to be a strategic intelligence officer. As an armor officer, or let me backtrack, the Assistant Chief of Staff for Intelligence, Department of the Army, had a system for locating key military intelligence officers throughout the world. And normally these were referred to as Special Security Officers, or SSOs. And supposedly this group, or not supposedly, I was told this group was required by the Department of the Army to assimilate so many combat arms officers into this group annually. And for whatever reason, to this day, I have no idea, I was hand-chosen to do that. And so when I got to Saigon, I had to go to the SSO group headquarters, which was at MACV compound, right off of Ton Son Nhut there, and got all my briefings and everything, and then I was sent to the field from there.
What unit were you assigned to?
I was assigned to USRV headquarters in Long Bend on a direct assignment from the Department of the Army.
Okay. What type of quarters did you have at Long Bend?
I wasn't there that often. Actually, I had an enlisted detachment that had all of our communications capability there, and then later we had another detachment that was co-located or co-equal at MAC track headquarters, 3rd Region Assistance Command at Army Benoit. And so normally I had a place to keep a rucksack with, they had wooden barracks quarters there, and normally I just had a room I could lock up and throw my personal things in. And then when I'd come back from the field or from briefings or whatever, I'd go back there, and they had a wooden building, kind of a barracks thing with common showers in it that sometimes worked, sometimes didn't. anyway, that's how I existed. I probably lived in 3 or 4 different hooches like that. The year I was assigned there.
Now, what was your main duty in Vietnam? What did you do?
Main duty was to assimilate and accumulate human intelligence and then special intelligence, and then be prepared to brief unit commanders in the field and at headquarters. And headquarters, this would have been 3rd Region Assistance Command, or the old 3 Corps headquarters at Army Benoit, and also USARV headquarters. 3rd Region Assistance Command had a 2-star general I had to report to, and USARV headquarters had a 3-star general. At that time, it was General McCaffrey. And then all of his staff, which was something like 7 or 8 other general officers that served underneath him.
Now, were you in 3 Corps?
Yes, I was.
Okay.
Although I did have operations outside of 3 Corps that sometimes went as far north as, 2 Corps. Both east and west side of 2 Corps. Probably 90% of my work was in 3 Corps.
Okay. Now, how often would you go to the field?
Almost, I was in and out of it continuously.
And you'd be in the field how long?
Just a matter of days,
Okay.
2-3 days. Even during the offensive of 72, I think probably 9 days is the most I spent out, because I was continually coming back in, disseminating the information I had and then reporting on what I'd seen and got from other sources.
Okay. Now, what type of position did you have out in the field?
Actually, just didn't have one. I was on my own. I had an Army buck sergeant, myself, and a Jeep, and we went from locale to locale, either briefing people or picking up information or delivering it or whatever.
Now, when you spent the night, where would you spend the night out in the field?
As safe as possible. Very seldom, we get caught in a situation where we were just by ourselves.
So, did you have hooches out there, tents, or what?
We'd go to a fire base or back into Army Benoit or over to airstrip at Tay Ninh, or, Long Ton. Sometimes if we were in the eastern part of the sector there, we'd end up at go in, and we even stayed several nights with Australians over at Bungtao.
Oh, Bungtao's nice.
Yeah. We didn't do much beach time. This is during the offensive of 72. Matter of fact, I don't remember doing any beach time.
Okay. The offensive of 72. What happened? Was that Tet 72?
No,
Okay.
no. This was over what we would consider the Easter holidays.
Okay.
But it all broke out about the first week in April 1972.
So what happened?
Basically, and I'm working from memory now, if I sit down and rehash some of this, I could probably be more specific dates and everything. The North Vietnamese, coupled with the Viet Cong, moved under a ruse a lot of units from north to south into the area into Cambodia, just west of the South Vietnamese border in that area. And they started doing probes to the north and everything to try to confuse. We had mostly Vietnamese units then. Most of the American main force units, almost all of them had left by 1972. So what happened then is the communists came in on an offensive from the west towards An Loc and Loc Ninh, penetration after a ruse to the north of that to get people off stride. And then they just conducted offensive operations, starting out with a village north of An Loc called Loc Ninh. They took possession there, then moved on to An Loc and surrounded it along Highway 13, bypassing Tay Ninh to the west, as I remember. And,
Rockets and mortars.
yes.
How often would you come under attack?
The closer you were to Saigon, the lesser propensity for these type of attacks. During the offensive of 72, artillery, rocket attacks and everything were pretty prevalent, especially in the area around An Loc and Loc Ninh.
Now, when you're driving around, have to watch out for snipers or.
Times we would.
Okay.
To the east of Anlog during this offensive, there a lot of the arc-like strikes that the Air Force ran out there needed to be evaluated for effectiveness and stuff like that. So a lot of times, my Sergeant E5 and I worked together. Sergeant Heron and I would be out there. We'd be fully exposed by ourselves, so we had to be real careful. And a couple times we did come under attack.
When you come under attack, what do you do?
Well, in one case, it was pretty difficult because we had a Jeep shot out. And so we ran. It's called escape and evasion. We evaded immensely well.
How far were you from the camp? From
friendlies, probably about 2.5, 3 clicks.
Okay, but you made it okay.
Yeah, we made it fine.
Okay. Did you have more VC or NVA in that area?
Depends on which intelligence you read. I think surprisingly by that time there was an inordinate amount of NVA there.
Okay.
Yeah.
How could you tell the VC from the local people?
Normally the the uniforms, type of weapons that they carried.
What weapon did you carry?
I carried a 45 pistol and then sometimes a 38, and we both carried in the Jeep with us, M16.
Now, when you how did you collect this information? How did you get the information back to the higher headquarters?
We normally hand carried it.
Okay, was it was it written on paper or what?
A lot of times, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And would this be secret, top secret information?
Sometimes it would be.
Okay. How did you secure this?
On our person a lot, and then a lot of times, depending on where we were, like if we needed to use a secure line, we could go into Army or Air Force Benoit or Taney and get secure voice into like USAV headquarters or whatever.
Who was your higher headquarters?
USAV.
USAV? Okay. That was in Saigon?
No, that was in Long Bend.
Long Bend. Okay. Okay. Who was your commander?
My personal commander or the theater?
Yeah, your personal commander.
There was a lieutenant colonel in Saigon at MACV headquarters that was a MI. He was the group commander in Vietnam.
Okay. What's your most vivid memory of Vietnam?
The offensive of '72.
Would that be your worst memory or your best memory?
Probably both.
Both.
I saw people at their best, and I saw some of the most tragic, things also there during that period.
Now, when you were out in the field, did you take your rations with you?
Yeah, until we ran out, and then we'd beg, borrow, steal, or whatever. A lot of times people didn't know who we were.
Yeah.
If you get a young captain and a young buck sergeant show up in a Jeep with no markings on it, why should we give these guys our food, or
Yeah.
or why can't they tell us exactly who they are, or whatever.
Now, the local Vietnamese, the local farmer out there, what was their attitude toward you?
Because of our security clearances and what we were doing, we didn't want to make that much contact at all. Only when we had to. And I mean, sometimes you had to, like you wanted to stop and, get something to eat or whatever,
And you were in Vietnam how long?
I was there for just a little bit over 12 months.
12 months.
Right.
And you left Vietnam when?
Let's see, it'd been late August of 1972.
Now, was this under the Vietnamization of Vietnam?
Supposedly, yeah.
Did you think the South Vietnamese could control what was going on?
I do. They couldn't after the offensive of '72. They had people drop it. There were a couple instances that, during that offensive, that if the roads on Highway 13 hadn't been blocked, they would have just ran off and dropped their arms and everything. They had to stay and fight because the North Vietnamese had them surrounded.
I've heard that some of the North Vietnamese in D.C. infiltrated the Arvins.
I can't attest to that.
Okay. So, what did you think when you were leaving Vietnam?
I was just real proud to get out of there. I had a wife and a child at home at that time.
And when you left Vietnam, you landed where?
San Francisco.
Any protest?
I don't remember any at the airport. I remember getting accosted by people there.
What happened?
This young boy and girl looked like they were college age. Came up and started, trash talking me, what they call trash talk now.
Why did you go to flight school?
Because I liked what I saw in Vietnam. And I worked with the pilots. A lot of times they would take us into areas and drop us off. I wasn't in this Jeep I was telling you. That was a preferable way to get around. That way we could get in and work at a district headquarters or whatever. We go in, get the information, debrief everything, get all of our paperwork, put it in a satchel and everything, and we had our own, way of taking care of ourselves that way, and then get back on an aircraft and take off. And a lot of times in very serious situations, I was just very impressed with what the pilots and the crew chiefs and the gunners and everyone on the slicks did, and I was just, during the offensive of 72, I don't think 77th, I'm meandering now, the 77th ARA was Blue Max. They were a Cobra unit that was dynamic in their defense of Anlock and Loch Ninh. Those poor people, they were terrific warriors in the air. I always had the utmost respect for them. But also the slick drivers and their crews that we worked with going in and out of all these areas that wasn't in, actual combat. But we got fired on many times. But I was always impressed with it, and I was fully capable of going to flight school, and that's what I wanted to do. So,
I'd like to ask, what was your reaction the first time you came under fire in Vietnam?
well, it scared me to death. I was frightened.
Was it?
It also made me mad.
Was it small arms fire, rocket
Yes.
mortar, small arms fire?
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking it's serious, really serious. And I wanted to take care, of course, the people around me and everything else. You think of that, and then you think of self-preservation.
So you went to flight school where?
At Fort Walters, Texas for primary, and then Fort Rucker, Alabama for advanced.
And you got your wings when?
Oh gosh, man. I'm thinking about June of '73. That seems about right.
Okay. What did you think when South Vietnam fell?
I thought it was appalling.
I'm sorry?
I thought it was appalling that all of the American troops had been pulled out, and then Congress removed all of the funding, and that we'd left some real good people over there. Not all the Arvin were bad soldiers. There were plenty of good ones too. I think it left the country in really a disheveled state.
Tell me about flight school, your primary.
I loved it. It's TH-55s. They were recip engine helicopters. It was just like a vacation after Vietnam. Seriously, I loved it. Small city in West Texas there, west of Fort Worth.
Is that Mineral Wells?
Yes.
Okay.
Mineral Wells. And I was the ranking officer in my class, and I was a captain. All the rest of the people were either second lieutenant reserve officers, or they were first lieutenant regular Army officers that had combat assignments, as new lieutenants.
And at Fort Rucker, you flew what helicopter?
We flew Hueys there.
Hueys. Which model? A model, B model, C model?
I think almost all of them were Bs at that time because they were the first turbine helicopters that were required that gave instrument certification too out of flight school.
Okay. After you got your wings, where'd you go?
And back to Fort Knox, Kentucky, with the air cab unit there.
What'd you do there?
Pardon me. I was the Squadron S4 logistics officer for Air Cav Squadron with the attached attack helicopter company. 7th the 1st Air Cav with the 235th attack helicopter company attached to it.
And would you go on maneuver there at Fort Knox? What'd you fly?
Actually, we had our own maneuver areas there that were organic to that, and then we do special trips to like a training area in Indiana. Was that Fort Gruber, I think? Pardon me. And occasionally we would do maneuvers down with the 101st at Fort Campbell, but very seldom because we had our own training areas there.
And how long are you in the military?
Actually combined active duty, National Guard, and Reserve 32 years.
Now, when did you leave active duty?
Left active duty in January of 1976.
So at Fort Knox, all this, you were active duty?
Right.
Okay. How many flying hours did you have at Fort Knox?
At Fort Knox, probably, I'm gonna guess about 400.
Okay. Did you fly anything besides Hueys?
No, I always flew a scout. After I got out of flight school, I was always an Air Cav
Okay.
scout pilot.
Okay. And what did you do in the reserves?
I commanded a Aero Scout unit with the Illinois National Guard in Decatur, Illinois,
Okay.
for years and years. And my terminal assignment there was as a company commander for 47th Aviation Company. That was a lift company asset for the Illinois National Guard.
Okay. Now, what is the lift company?
Hueys,
Hueys.
right.
What do you do in the lift company?
Just carry troops
Very true.
and logistics, supplies, whatever,
Okay.
mostly troops.
What's your most vivid memory of your reserve time?
National Guard was.
I'm sorry, National Guard.
Yeah. The camaraderie, you know, being able to stay military uniform, and we had. I had always had real good enlisted warrant officers to work with. My NCOs were superb, and it was a good experience. Like any military institution, I was fortunate. I had good people, so it took a while to get training up to par and everything. But once that was achieved and maintained, it's a good experience.
You retired when?
Actually, I didn't retire until whatever 32 and 66 is. That's 98. I got my official reserve component retirement discharge papers, but I think I quit drilling in 1986 or 87, and I got assigned to inactive reserves after that as a major.
What do you think when the Berlin Wall came down?
I thought it was good. That's about all I can say. I thought it was wonderful. Those people had a chance for that to happen.
Okay. What did you do in civilian life?
When I got out and moved to Illinois, I was basically an entrepreneur. I had a commercial helicopter company that I formed and operated. We did crop dusting, power line patrolling. We sold helicopter parts in about a 19-state area for 2 different manufacturers of helicopters. I own 2 or 3 other companies. They were always small companies. These weren't large, big operations at all until I retired about 3 years ago and moved back to Tulsa here.
Why'd you move back to Tulsa?
It's where my wife and I are from originally, this area. I grew up in Jinx, Oklahoma, and she grew up in Sapulpa, Oklahoma, and we met in college.
You met in college?
Yes.
What's your wife's name?
Sharon?
Sure. Okay. Would you join the Army again?
In retrospect, sure.
I'd like to do a word association. I'll give you some words and you give me your reaction. The first one is basic training.
Challenging.
AIT,
Interesting.
Germany.
Would rather have been doing something else.
Vietnam,
Glad I was there, but never want to do it again.
Ho Chi Minh,
Despicable human being.
LBJ,
Really don't have any opinion.
Richard Nixon,
Don't have any opinion.
flight school.
Interesting.
How do you want to be remembered?
Basically, as a good person that met people, and anyone I was ever involved in, I'd like to think that they ended up better off for it than worse off for it.
Now, what else you want to talk about? Anything?
Nothing really.
Well, sir, this is an excellent interview.
Well, thank you, sir.
I want to thank you for your service and thank you for the interview.
Well, thank you for your interest, and I appreciate the opportunity.
And again, this is February 13th, 2018. My name is Joe Todd. This has been an interview with Roy Phillips in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thank you.
Yes, sir.